Okay. Ayun, may background music pa tayo, no? Okay. So, I'll be sharing with you my slide now. And then we'll be starting. So if any one of you want to show yourselves in the video, I'm not sure if I have allowed you to do that, just in case. Well, anyway. All right, so today is August 7, and it's 4:02 p.m. in my laptop watch. This is our webinar for today. So it's free, and it's intended for business owners and company accountants. Although as I have checked the attendees, some of you are practicing CPAs. I don't know if you are a partner level or a staff level or a manager level, but just in case, I'd like to emphasize that today's webinar talks about basic to enhance knowledge a business owner must learn to confidently understand and be on track of his company's BAR statutory requirements. So this is a non-CPD webinar and is designed for entrepreneurs and their accountants. So if ever, since some of you are already CPAs and maybe practicing, if ever you are expecting something that is very technical, or if you have a very technical question, let's see if such can be addressed in this webinar. But for more technical questions, I think it's supposed to be addressed in another webinar for such purpose, so that the audience will also be able to cope and everyone will be on the same page. But nonetheless, since you're interested to attend, so let's see. This can be a practice for you also, and I hope all of you who are listening, the business owners, will be able to find this webinar very useful for you. So, sige, mag-pray lang tayo sandali. I hope you don't mind. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity that we are here, gathered electronically to learn. And may you bless this webinar, not just for myself, but also for those who are listening. Let everyone who are here have a clear mind, and let every one of us have knowledge, earn knowledge in this activity. This is our prayer in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay, so let's start. So these are the webinar objectives: to be aware of what forms of business organizations are available, and to be able to understand what are the advantages, disadvantages between forming a sole proprietorship versus a corporation, then to understand the differences in terms of decision making, liabilities, tax management, etc. So basically, maybe not all of the items or topics that you have in mind may be discussed here. But since we have a lot of webinars in line, so just in case you have other questions that were not answered, or maybe better taken up into the other webinars for those topics that are really specific, specifically prepared for such day, which includes PowerPoint and which includes illustration, etc., or maybe ready basis for such answers to the question. So in this webinar, most likely I'll not be able to send you right up front the rulings, which will be the basis of some of your questions, but at the end, or at least in Monday next week, we will be sending to you. But if ever there are some of you who may want to have a copy of this PowerPoint, so we are not giving away this PowerPoint. Actually, we will still have to improve this later on. But you are free to take pictures of the same. We don't have really a lot of slides to show today, but it's more of an open forum towards the end. Okay, I assume also that you're not really that new to this topic. So let's proceed. Number 4, to learn from other participants also, because it's not only from the speakers that people are learning, but also from the questions of some of the participants from the open forum, which will allow us to have question and answers. And sometimes, I don't know, maybe there will be a time also that one of the participants may have an additional input to a question raised. So let's see. All right. So basically, this is how I would compare, but I don't. I'm not saying that this is the only ways on how you will compare qualitatively and quantitatively the differences between a sole proprietorship versus a corporation. But this is what I have listed so far. So there is no distinct personality from that of the owner because the individual is already the business itself, okay? And then for a corporation, there is distinct personality from the owner or owners, okay? So there can be one owner of a corporation, two, etc. So we will discuss that later on. And then not priority for Bayer audit. I cannot say that this is really absolute, but generally speaking, as I have experienced, given that the transactions of a sole proprietor is generally said to be fewer, and in terms of quantity, in terms of amount, it's not that large compared to a corporation. But this is just a general comment. It's not really that we're saying that you will not really be a priority for audit because there are companies owned by individuals and yet they are they are huge, or that person is huge, that let's say 100 million sales, but it's still a sole proprietor. So it's not really an absolute qualitative comment here, but let's see towards the end. And then there is limited liability, okay, for a corporation for whatever is your investment, and then it's the only, up to that extent you will be held liable whenever you are indebted and maybe your business actually closed, the business actually closed. In terms of decision making, well, we can see that in corporations there are a lot of situations that the board of directors do not have the same time. So when they call for meetings, not all of the board of directors or maybe officers are available. So if it is compared to an individual, it's as simple as just going to a Starbucks. Kaya lang parang nagsasara na yata yung maraming stores, no? O basta let's just assume it's not yet pandemic. So they will just go to a place, maybe a restaurant, and maybe sit with a consultant, and then they will decide immediately. So it's very fast when it comes to decision making. But on the other hand, more heads are better than one. So ganun din. Meron din namang advantage when it comes to having a corporation that has a lot of owners. And then maybe better tax management, question mark, better tax management. Let's see dito sa mga presentations mamaya. And then let us uh, get some examples of which we will be able to analyze together. And then there is significantly larger capitalization because one person may have this much capitalization, but another or two persons or 3, 5 persons may have together, if they will pull in all their capital, so most likely there is a good chance that corporations may have larger capitalization. It always depends because if the owner of the individual is really a big person, so it's not possible na mas malaki pa rin yung capital nung sa individuals. In terms of credibility, yes, it appears that corporations are more credible because if you want to have a vendor, if you have a customer, or if you are a bank, you want to lend money. So sometimes, or most of the times, when you know that this is a corporation, then it adds more credibility and it's easier for you to decide to engage yourself. So there is more long-term structure, matagal ang buhay, etong individual, 10 years, 15 years, we don't know. But in terms of the most recent release, or I cannot see it here for a while. Just move it over here. So corporations may actually exist forever. Okay? Kasi may bagong rules na lumabas. So pwede na yung perpetual life. And then, I would want to insert to add, rates may change. Remember, we have this train to, trabaho bill, sitira, and then create. So maybe we will have time to also discuss a little bit more of that. But it's more of all of this in the slides. All right. So next. Ayan. Analysis of impact of individual taxation versus corporation. So we have a corporate income tax versus personal income tax. At a net taxable income of 5 million, the tax due under the graduated rates is computed as 490 plus 35 or 32% of excess of 2 million. Let me show you first let me share with you this also. Okay, I'll share you some more of my screens. So just for us to be able to follow, what we can show here is at the level of net taxable income. So ito na po yung kinita, 5 million. So titignan po natin dito sa sa Excel file na to. I hope you're able to see this. So kung 5 million, more than 2 million po yun. And then immediately at the level of 2 million, your tax due is 490. We're talking about individual graduated rates. And then in excess of 2 million, you multiply it by 32 and then you add it to your 490. So ganun po yung ating. So kung mabilis po tayong matatapos like 1 hour, so di okay po yon, or 45 minutes. Let's see, no? Just talk. I think I have allowed you to talk here. Kaya lang wala akong assistant to actually see if there's somebody raising hands, etc. So anyway, I don't know. I don't have an assistant right now. Okay. So ano yung mako-compute po natin sa 5 million? So ito yung makikita natin sa 5 million. Ito yung sa 5 million. So meron kang 1,450 kasi ang formula po natin dyan is yung 490 i-add dun sa product of 32% multiplied by the difference between 5 million and 2, therefore 3 million. So kung pupwersahin natin computin dito, 3 million tapos 0.32. So kasi meron tayong mga kasamang mga business owners, ano? Ayan, tapos Lagay lang natin dito. Let's see kung anong lalabas. So 1,450. So at 5 million, ito yung lalabas. So tama yung formula. Pero pag tinignan mo yung corporation, ang mangyayari, 5 million times 30%. Kasi 30% yung atin pong corporate income tax. So i-compare natin dyan would be 1,500. So meron siyang difference na 50,000. Actually, I think many of you are, I'm just thinking, more of you are wanting to see the tax impact rather than other qualitative differences we talked about earlier. But okay, nonetheless, if you will compare, then there's a difference of 50,000. So going back to our, nagkamali ako. Yan. To our presentation here, you will see that there is a 50,000 difference. Still, the personal income tax is lower than corporate by 50, with a little difference under the current regime that the CIT and PIT dues will be equivalent at a taxable income of 7.5. So, paano natin malalaman yon? I-double check natin. So, sabi kasi dito, 2.2. So, pag tinignan natin dito, ito ang computation nun, parang masyadong magulo, no? Mas maganda kung dito natin titignan. Kasi I think nag-Excel tayo. So, ito yung 7.5. So, this is the tax table. Ayan, yung first 250, 0%, no? Ito yung nandito sa taas. This is what we call the net taxable income of individuals. Tapos yung cost of corporation dito. Okay? Tapos, actually, itong corporation dito is tax due na agad. So, we will use this table to compute for the tax due for individuals here, compare it with the corporation. Mapapansin po natin dito, 0 ang difference. So using this as an example, we can see that under the current taxable, under the current graduated rates, there is an equal footing when it comes to individual taxation versus corporate taxation. Kasi pag tinignan natin to, double click, F10, hindi F4. O yung mga nakaka-relate dyan, mga kakilala yung mga F4. No? F10 tayo. So F10, 490 plus 32% to be multiplied by the difference between 750 minus 2 billion. So that's 555, diba? So yung 55 na yon, imumultiply yan dun sa 0.32. Sige, kung kukumpitin natin dito, para mas ma-appreciate natin. Minsan kasi baka nagmamadali ako pero ayan, nag-automatic siya dito na 2,250. Kasi meron siyang 490 dito na naka-fix at the first 2 million, and then meron siyang 32% in excess of 2 million, which is 55, which is 1,760. You add it here, you get this one. But if you will compare yung sa corporation, so immediately you can see na nagtali sila. Right? So actually dito sa 8 and 9, medyo malapit-lapit na. It's just about 10,000 lang eh. For a difference of 500,000 here, ang difference nila is 10,000. For a difference of 2.5 million, ang difference nila is malaki. Almost 1 million din, no? So anyway, so this is how we can analyze your um, the difference in terms of taxation using graduated rates. Graduated rates po tayo muna, wala pa tayo dun sa 8%. Although madali lang naman yung sa 8%, multiply mo lang naman ng 8. Minus mo muna yung 250 kung walang compensation. So in here, eto, ni-research ko lang to, it seems na mag-iiba yung table na gagamitin by year 2023. And pag tinignan natin, kaya nga dito, pagbabalikan natin, the rates may change. So sometimes, hindi na ganun ka-relevant na gagamitin mo lang yung Excel file na pinapakita natin dito kanina. But actually, you should also consider na mag-change yung rates. Possible. Kaya lang, it's supposed to be July 2020 yung implementation ng create. But it seems wala pa rin. Ang rate pa rin natin is yung 30%. So kung sakali man, just for discussion purposes, nasunod yung proposal na ito yung magiging graduated rates in 2023, makikita nyo dito, naturuan ko nakita nyo na naman, no, for those who already know how to compute using graduated rates. Pagtiwalaan na lang natin yung mga figures dito kasi it's not really yung computation ang purpose of our webinar, but the meat that we can get out of it. So in terms of personal income tax, nag-change yung mga rates. Ang lalabas dito, 1,302,000. Pero tignan nyo yung sa corporate income tax. Na by that time, 26. Kasi nga ang proposal, gradual na doon sa Tira, ang kasi, gradual yan up to 2029, magiging 20% na lang. But in terms of create, the proposal is immediate 5% reduction from 30% to 25%. Ganun ang mangyayari. Tapos 2023, 26% ang corporate income tax. Pero still, lang to mga hindi pa to nangyayari. But just for the sake of getting us on board with some sort of projections also in terms of analyzing or deciding whether or not to create a corporation or just stick with sole proprietorship business. So ito po yung magiging itsura ng taxation in 2023, pero hindi pa natin sigurado kasi hindi pa naman talaga ipapasayan. So 1.3 million, imagine it's just 2,000 difference. Okay, kanina nag-match tayo at the height of 7.5 million. Pero dito, nag-match tayo at the height of 5 million. Halos nag-match tayo. But look at 2029. I'm not convincing you to change your mind if you are more of a sole proprietor. But meron din namang advantages kapag ka-corporation. Kasi tingnan nyo, in 2029, ito na yung posibleng mangyari. At the height of 2 million lang, magkamukha na halos. With a difference of 2,500. Alright? Okay, so sabi ko nga sa inyo, ilan lang yung slides natin, 37 pala to. So anyway, mabilis lang natin gagawin yung iba kasi I think baka alam nyo na yung mga dinidiscuss natin doon. So it's more of question and answer ang gagawin natin. There is what we call a one-person corporation, OPC. Kapag kayo nagparehistro, lalagyan yung OPC sa dulo. Kapag ka-corporation kasi, INC o kaya CORP, Corp. Okay? So, pwede yung one-person corporation. Kung gusto mo, 2-person, pwede rin. 3-person, 4-person, okay lang. So, ayan ang sinabi ng SEC. SEC sets up online registration for corporations with less than 5 incorporators during quarantine. Okay? The SEC and has reopened the registration for corporations less than 5 incorporators, including one-person corporations. In a notice dated April 8, the Commission announced it has set up an interim online registration system, etc. Hindi naman natin topic yung gagawa tayo ng magsaset up tayo ng corporation. But ang point lang, pinapakita ko sa inyo na pwede yung less than 5-person corporation. So effectively, what we're talking about here is sole proprietor versus a 5-person corporation, 5 and up hanggang 15-person corporation, yung board of directors, or a sole proprietorship business versus an OPC, a one-person corporation. So medyo nagkaroon ng konting twist, nagkaroon ng additional na sumingit. Kasi we also have to know kung ano yung meron sa one-person corporation. So in terms of liability, an OPC has a separate juridical personality. Natutuwa ako, meron akong kasabay sa pag-discuss. Anyway, so yan, pamute na lang po nung has a separate juridical personality from its individual owner. The value of this is that the juridical person is only liable to the extent of its assets. So, kapareho lang din ng 5-person corporation. Yung regular corporation pala, mas tamang yung tawag natin. In terms of taxation, ganun din. Meron din siyang 40% OSD to be multiplied dun sa gross income. Meaning you can deduct first your cost of sales or your cost of goods sold. Di katulad ng sole proprietor, if you chose to use OSD 40%, then it will be multiplied on your gross sales or on your gross revenue for services. So, parang okay siya, di ba? Tapos isa pa, ang ganda ng tunog, corporation. But in reality, isa lang naman pala yung may-ari. Sometimes kasi nakakadagdag ng marketability yung yung pagiging corporation. I don't know, it's just a subjective comment, but okay, so yan. Hindi naman lagi na lang nung lahat ng sinasabi ko tama. It's just my opinion na nakikita ko na there are people who would rather set up a one-person corporation instead of a sole proprietorship business based on the list of what we have discussed in, I think, the second slide after the objective. And then you have here the only advantage of a sole proprietor, single proprietor, is when it has a small revenue not exceeding 3 million, as it can be subject to a final tax of 8%. So kung 3 million and below, multiply mo lang ng 8%, minus mo muna yung 250 kung wala kang employment. So that is your tax already, which is already in lieu of your percentage tax, which is 3%. And then your 5% is your income tax. Okay, so compared to a corporation, 30% income tax plus percentage tax or VAT. Okay, so with an OPC, succession and business continuity are so much better. Under the new corporation code, a corporation's life is now perpetual. Here is how it works. The OPC owner, as early as the application for registration designates a nominee, baka kasi mamatay, di ba? And alternate nominee as required by the SEC in the event of death or incapacity of the OPC owner, the nominee takes over to run the business temporarily to allow smooth turnover to the heirs, okay? Or to whoever is interested to continue the business. There is no need to register a new corporation, okay? Next, change to regular corporation. All OPC needs to do is to amend the articles of incorporation to allow the required governance for the regular corporation. Pwede naman from OPC, gawin mong regular corporation, such as having a board of directors which should not exceed 15 persons and having a regular stockholders meeting. So okay lang yon. It could also be the other way around. maybe a rich owner of an OPC may wish to acquire regular corporation. So siya na yung siya na yung magiging, siya yung kakain ng ibang mga businesses or corporations. And be a one-man show in such acquired ventures. The regular corporations can be converted to one OPC. So wala namang problem doon. That is not our topic. This is not RFBT. This is not about, but we cannot avoid but also make mention of these things kasi the topic is related to that as well. So let me give you some um, points also in terms of, kasi nga dito sa ating webinar na to, na made mention na rin yung yung mga meron akong nabanggit dito eh. Let me just go back to the slide. Ano ba yung binanggit ko? Well, siguro yung better tax management and yung patungkol dun sa reporting, FS reporting. So let's make mention of this as well. Okay? Taxpayers whose revenues are below 3 million, are they required to have an audited financial statement? So, meron ditong old standard. So, pagka practitioner ka, makikita mo, outdated na yung slide ni sir. So, ipapakita lang natin yung old, then pakita natin yung new. So, in terms of the BAR, the sole proprietor opted to avail of the 40% standard deduction. The individual is not required to attach the audited FS. And not only that, even the FS itself. Okay? Kasi BIR ang pinag-uusapan natin eh. Alright? In filing the ITR. But still, if the gross sales and revenues is more than 3 million, then he has to have his books audited by independent auditor. So many, well, I'm not sure if it's really many, but some of the practitioners may argue that this is not their stand. Although in our firm, this is our stand. Kasi ang nakasulat, books of accounts ang ino-audit, hindi yung financial statements. Okay? Although in terms of basta ito gray area to, but ibang practitioners, iba-ibang stand nila. I'm just saying that our stand here in the firm is that although in filing the ITR, you do not need to attach your audited financial statements if you availed of 40%. If you are a sole proprietor, not even your financial statements, but ang nakasulat kasi, pagka more than 3 million, you have to have your books audited. So that is our stand. So that is why such is the what I am discussing to you now. If a sole proprietor opted to file using itemized deduction, the individual is required. Kasi itemized yan eh. Hindi katulad ng OSD, parang additional paper lang kapag isasubmit mo yon together with your ITR, given that kung sole proprietor ay multiply mo lang naman yun dun sa gross revenue mo, sa gross sales mo. So parang hindi na kailangan kasi marami lang papataying mga mga puno, no? Kapag ay may nag-raise hand. I-try muna nating sagutin kung meron kasing nag-raise hand. Hindi ko, ayun, merong may attendee. Sino kaya ito, ha? Sige, pwede tayong magtanong, ha? Pipilitin nating sagutin. Ay, ayun. Si Maita andon, unmute natin siya. Paano ba yon? Hello, Maita? Hindi siya ma-unmute. Aha. Hindi ko alam kung anong gagawin ko. So anyway, you may chat if you want. Sige. So okay, so hindi siya nagsasalita. Hello? Yan, ginawa kitang panelist. Can
Hello?
you? Yes,
Hello.
okay.
I'm sorry. Naka-unmute ako.
Ah, sige, meron kayong tanong? Ay, wala yatang tanong talaga. Sige, tuloy natin ha. Pero okay lang 'yon kung sakaling may tanong, no? Pipilitin natin sagutin. Di naman tayo
Hello?
all-knowing, but sige, ano yung ano natin? May tanong kayo?
I'm sorry. Regarding po sa OSD na sole proprietorship, regardless po ba kung merchandise or services? Yung
Oo,
OSD?
OSD ang final mo kasi eh.
Okay. What if kailangan ba sa umpisa pa lang ng business file kaga ng OSD or nag-uumpisa na siya then biglang nag-OSD?
Ang criteria doon is yung pagpa-file mo. There was a lot of confusion na magpa-file pa ng 19 o 1 yata yun, tapos etc. But ang
Okay.
naging decision ng BIR doon is doon sa quarterly ITR mo lang. Doon mo lang i-signify yung iyong intent to use your OSD.
Oo.
Okay?
Kasi yung beginning ng is itemized siya, then bago siya nag-OSD. Is it magkakaroon ho ba ng problem doon? O kailangan
Kung
pa ng
yung
document?
beginning mo kasi for last year na yun di ba? For
Yes,
last
sir.
year lang yun. So wala naman yun kasi yung BIR naman is on the profit and loss. Ang kanyang tinitignan doon is yung current mo kasi tapos na yung last year eh. Kung yun ang intindi ko dun sa tanong mo na beginning kasi normally
Yes,
pag
sir.
nominal accounts mga close na yun eh. So once na
Okay.
nag-start ka ng January to March 31, you decide kung anong gagamitin mo. If you decided to use OSD, then that's it. That is no longer revocable. So for 1 year lang naman. Kung gusto mo magpalit ka next year uli, o di mag-itemize ka uli next year.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir.
Alright. Thank you, Ren. Next, asan pa ba ito? If the sole proprietor opted to file using itemized deduction, the individual is required to file ITR with the attached financial statements but not necessarily audited. Kasi magkaiba yon. Iba yung financial statements, iba yung audited financial statements. So if sales, BIR ang pinag-usapan natin, not SEC. If sales, kasi ano nga to, individual to, di ba? Pero kung pag-uusapan corporation, so BIR and SEC na yung pag-uusapan natin. Right? If sales revenue is more than 3 million, then audited financial statement is required for BIR. However, if qualified for 8%, so meaning 3 million and below, no FS is required in filing his ITR. The individual is required to file percentage tax returns. Pero teka, bakit ganon? However, if yung 8% may percentage tax return na dun eh, no FS required in filing the individuals. Hindi ka na magpa-file ng may mali dito ha. Sandali ha. Hindi ko alam kung paano ko, ayan. Hindi ka na kailangan mag-file ng percentage tax kasi yung 3% mo na percentage tax dun sa 8%, pina-file mo na yun quarterly. Baka nakakalimutan lang tong cognate, no? Alright, sige. Yung old ruling naman ng SEC is like this. If the FS that is being audited, not the books of accounts, kasi pag SEC, financial statements ang ino-audit. If the capital is 50, this is the old standard, 50 ang threshold, ha? Pagdating naman dito sa yan 50 kasi nakalagay. 50 na paid up capital, no? Pagdating naman dito skip lang muna tayo doon sa SEC. Ang pinag-uusapan dito is total assets or liabilities. So either your assets or your liabilities pag pumasok sa 600,000 or more, then kailangan ng audited financial statement. Kailangan mo ng auditor. Kahit na less than 3 million yung revenue mo. Kasi sa BIR, 3 million yung threshold eh. Kahit na 3 million or less, kailangan mo na external auditor kasi sa SEC, kailangan ng external auditor. Kasi ang mangyayari, lumusot ka nga doon sa EIR, less than 3 million and below, nag-opt ka ng OSD, nag-opt ka ng ng 8%. Pero anong nangyari? Sa SEC naman, ay hindi, pagka SEC kasi walang 8%, no? Walang 8% kasi yung 8% pang individual lang 'yon. So going back, gumula yung sinabi ko. Kapag ka sa SEC, ang threshold natin is total assets or liabilities. So we're talking about 3 million and below na corporation, though hindi ka required kasi nag-OSD ka, ang point hindi tatanggapin ni SEC yung financial statements mo kasi hindi siya audited. So let's go back here. Individual taxpayers whose revenues are below. So let's talk about individuals again. I hope hindi tayo nagkakalituhan. Sabi ko nga sa inyo, you can take pictures of the slides if you want. Sabi dito, individual taxpayer, itemized deduction. So kapag itemized deduction, at ang ginamit mo ay, syempre, graduated rates kasi itemized ka eh, no? Less than or equal 3 million, FS only. Okay? Pagka naman more than 3 million, audited FS. Kaya FS only kasi itemized. Ano lang ba yung no FS? No audited na, no FS pa, yung OSD na individual. Okay? Irrespective of your revenues, may it be less than or more than 3 million or equal to 3 million. Doesn't matter. Kasi hindi re-require yung financial statements. Eh di lalong hindi nire-require yung audited financial statements. Alright? Pause muna tayo doon. Punta muna tayo doon sa 8%. No financial statements required. O wag na lang din nating isipin na merong audited. Kasi the fact na no financial statements, so lalo pang sa pagpa-file ng ITR to, lalo nang hindi naman kailangan ng audited financial statements. But in terms of BIR, we're talking about individual taxpayer kasi kapag ka corporation, SEC ang gagamitin natin, yung 600,000 assets and liabilities. Ngayon, kung individual taxpayer, ang nakikita namin, kailangan mong ipa-audit yung books of accounts kapag ka more than 3 million. Pero hindi mo kailangan mag-file. Hindi mo kailangan i-attach yung financial statements mo. Okay? So, yan. Yun yung sa amin, ha? Yun yung sa amin. Kasi walang makapagsabi ng finality on that, but we have studied it very carefully. And to be safe, that is our stand. Next. Let's not talk about this kasi napakarami nito, hindi naman sa mga iba natin tong mga sa mga iba nating mga webinars to ite-take up. For now, ang ating applicable for this webinar is yung OSD. Okay? Under RR 16-08, sabi dito OSD is not allowed, pero doon sa 9504, 40% of gross income for domestic and resident foreign corporations. Tapos, ganito yung pagko-compute. Gross sales minus sales returns and allowances, discounts, and then minus cost of goods sold, then you get your gross income. Then multiply mo. Okay? So, that's how to compute that. And then for trading and manufacturing, amount of the invoice, add mo yung yung mga para lang ma-compute mo yung cost of goods sold kasi dito may cost of goods sold tapos wala namang computation, so kino-compute lang natin. Ang cost of goods sold na isisingit, itong cost of goods sold na to na isisingit mo dito ay ginto kino-compute: import duties, freight, insurance in transit. You have your cost of goods sold for merchandising, trading, for manufacturing, all costs incurred in the production of finished goods. And then for sale of services naman, gross receipts minus cost of services, discounts, returns and allowances, you get your gross income. Then cost of service naman, na ilalagay mo dito sa part na to, is all direct costs and expenses necessarily incurred. Does not include interest expense. Okay? Except in case of banks and other financial institutions. All right. So what is passive income? Okay? Ang passive income, hindi siya gross income. Therefore, hindi siya kasama sa computation ng OSD. Kasi yung passive income such as interest, dividend, and royalties, they are subjected to final tax. Tapos na yon. When you say final tax, it is no longer available again to be taxed kasi final tax na yun eh. Yung pag nag-deposit kayo, nagkaroon kayo ng interest income, ang nare-receive nyo na lang is yung neto kasi nabawasan na ng 20% yung earnings nyo on deposits. And then sale of services, we have other taxpayers, income and deduction. Okay? Meron tayong tinatawag na accounting method which can be cash or accrual method. So yung gross income is dependent sometimes if you are accrual or cash basis. But for the BAR, ang default niyan is accrual unless sa bagay ibang topic na lang yan kasi merong procedure on, it's not automatic na sasabihin mo lang gusto mo ng cash basis of accounting, hindi. Kasi nag-a-adapt ang BAR so to what is the standards when it comes to PFRS. So by default it is accrual. Okay? So next, katulad ng question kanina ni Maita is you will assign your filing method as OSD from the beginning of your first quarter. So it's irrevocable for the whole of the taxable year. Failure to file your first quarter is equivalent to itemized deduction ang gagamitin mo. So how to compute your OSD? ABC company has gross sales of 1 million with cost of sales amounting to 800. ABC intends to avail OSD. So gross sales mo minus cost of goods sold, and then ang gross income basis mo would be your 200. So 40% OSD, therefore your OSD is 80. Okay? So anong gagawin natin doon sa 80 mo? O bakit biglang nagkaroon ng minimum corporate income tax? Ituloy lang natin, siguro na-delete ko lang yung slide. So, ang mangyayari, yung 200 mo, ima-minus mo yung OSD mo. Kasi your OSD is in lieu of your itemized deduction. So, ano yung itemized deduction? Yun yung mga kung ano-anong resibo mo. Let's not talk about cost of goods sold. We're talking about the below the line item na mga ginagastos mo like telepono, cleaning ng aircon, that has nothing to do with the materials that you put in, the labor and overhead you put in your product. Or kung ito man ay trading, it has nothing to do with the direct yung direct cost or cash outlays mo for you to be able to sell your merchandise, your product in your trading company. So yung mga below the line items na yon, kaya nga ima-minus daw muna yung cost of goods sold. Yung puhunan, sa Tagalog, yung cost of goods sold, ito yung puhunan mo nung yung mga binenta mo. So minus na daw muna yon. Then let's talk about those that come under the gross income. So which gross income is after deducting your cost of goods sold. Then you get your 40%. Ang kagandahan nito, although parang na-preempt yung pagtatanong, is kapag ka napansin mo na konti lang yung na-accumulate ng resibo, mag-OSD ka na lang, parang ganon. Pero kung ang resibo mo ay hindi lang 200,000, kasi ang ginagawa mo, namumulot ka ng mga resibo sa Jollibee, namumulot ka ng resibo sa Chowking, huwag niyo naman gagawin nyo kasi paano mo ididepensa sa BIR yun, di ba? Mahirap. Pero nakakita na talaga ako ng gano'n, mga namumulot ng mga resibo. Masipag talaga, mamulot ng resibo. Ngayon kung, okay, wag na yung pamumulot ng resibo. Hindi ko tinuturo yan ha, mali yun. Nagpapatawa lang ako, kaya lang hindi kayo tumatawa. So, kapag ka marami ka namang resibo na legitimate na mga purchases mo, huwag ka na lang gumamit ng OSD. Especially kung talagang medyo lugi ka siguro that time. Diba? So, huwag ka na lang gumamit ng OSD para maging negative yung bottom line figure mo. Alright, let's talk about minimum corporate income tax. Kasi pinag-uusapan natin is corporation. Time check. Oh, we have 30 minutes. O wag na lang siguro natin itong pag-usapan. Basta ang point, pag sinabing minimum corporate income tax, kasi related to sa income taxation ng corporation. Kailangan nyong malaman, pag hindi ko sinabi to, sasabihin nyo, naku, kulang-kulang yung discussion. Kasi kino-compare nga natin yung sole proprietor versus corporation. Baka kasi akala natin, pag lugi, wala nang babayaran na tax. Meron. Kahit nalugi ka, meron kang babayarang income tax, which is 2% of your gross income. Sometimes your gross income, meron ka pa sa baba na mga other income that is subject to RCIT or regular income tax. Hindi na kasama yung subjected sa final tax. I-add mo pa yon, yung gross income mo, i-add mo pa yung other income mo sa baba, tapos kung ano yung makuha mong figure, multiply mo ng 2%, yan ang ibabayad mo sa BIR. Even if lugi ka. Kasi nga, kaya siya tinawag na minimum corporate income tax. But it applies only on the fourth year of, bali fourth year yan, after yan yung ano, kasi 3 years yung operations mo eh. On the fourth year mag-a-apply. Dati pag tinatanong ako kung may mga nakaka-discuss ako ng ganyan, nagkakaroon ng ng confusion na pag sinabing on the fourth year from the start of commercial operation, nagparehistro ka ng 2010, tas bibilang ka ng 2010, 11, 12, 13 ang minimum corporate income tax mo. The answer is no. Kahit na ang lingwahe ay on the fourth year after your the end of your commercial on the fourth year of your commercial operation, kailangan mo i-consider na meron kang date of registration. Okay? So, alam mo, January 3, ang date of registration mo, January 3, 2010. Pasagarin mo na, January 1, pero wala naman papasok ng ganong araw. Sometimes, January 2, walang papasok. O sige, si January 3, hindi yan linggo. Nagpa-register ka doon, hindi mo yun isasama sa counting mo. Ganon ang lumalabas sa computation. Kasi kahit anong pilit mong i-encode yan sa tax return, hindi siya papayag. Kaya doon mo ma-further confirm na sometimes may makikita ka sa internet na hindi ko naman sasabihin kung saang site. Ang computation nila sa 2013 yung yung minimum corporate, pero subukan mo na ipasok yan sa sa ITR. Hindi siya papayag. Magsasarili siya ng compute on the fourth year, which is effectively, if you will count, it's like on the fifth year. Alright? Masyadong mahaba ng naging usapan doon. Ano nangyari dito? Okay, so your gross sales minus your cost of sales, you have your gross income, and then katulad ng sinabi ko, i-add mo pa dyan kung meron ka dyang mga other income, rental, na subject to income tax. Wag na yung mga interest, wag mo na isama yon. I-add mo dun sa gross income mo dito, then you multiply it by 2% for your minimum corporate income tax. Ibig sabihin ng minimum corporate income tax, wala kang choice, bayad ka pa rin talaga. Iba pa yung NOLCO ha, yung NOLCO kasi is net operating loss carry over. Na yan ay 3 years na pwede mong i-carry over. So on the first year, ikaw ay nalugi, meron ka pang second, third, and fourth year na kung saan pwede mo siyang magamit, making it part of your operating expenses. But still, bayad ka ng minimum corporate income tax. Okay? Kaya nga kasi, kaya lang yun, doon yun sa ano, doon yun sa fourth year. Or sabihin natin parang fifth year na. Okay? Kasi yung first year is something na parang hindi mo na yun isasama sa accounting mo. Next. O yan, ganyan naman ang parang pareho lang yata to, di ba? Parang pareho lang. So anyway, if your minimum corporate income tax is greater than your RCIT or regular income tax, so therefore, ang masusunod yung minimum corporate income tax mo. Pero kung yung regular income tax mo, mas malaki ang babayaran mo sa government, yun ang masusunod. Yun ang dapat mong ibayad sa government. Alright? We will not discuss deferred taxation here kasi that is for a different topic. Kaya lang natin to pine-present ngayon is para lang mas ma-appreciate na bukod dun sa mga iba natin pinag-usapan na taxes about corporation, merong minimum corporate income tax na hindi natin pwedeng isipin na lugi na lang. Kahit nga lugi kasi nga may minimum corporate income tax eh. So, yon. Next. Ito, pinakita lang dito yung sinasabi ko na mag-a-add ka pa ng other income para mo makompute yung gross income mo. To be computed by multiplying 2% and then i-versus mo yon dun sa regular income tax mo which is computed at 30%. Okay? Ayan. If there is an excess of minimum corporate income tax, parang lumalabas, laging ang binabayaran mo minimum corporate income tax kasi yung RCIT mo 1,000 lang, ang minimum corporate mo is 21,000. So meron kang 20,000. So meron kang 3 taon para mo magamit yon. Unless mag-expire na, kapag ka natapos na yung 3 years, mag-expire na yun, hindi mo na yun magagamit. Okay? You can carry it forward. Kasi parang hindi na rin naniniwala ang BIR na lagi ka na lang mababa ang RCIT mo. So naglagay sila ng cap na 2% kasi siyempre kailangan nila ng cash flow. Right? So I think yun yung naging basis. I think we should not talk about this kasi tatagal lang tayo. This is for a different webinar. Basta ang ibig lang sabihin dyan, ito, at least man lang ito. Sige na nga. Ayan, meron kang corporate income tax, yung normal income tax 50, ang minimum mo 75, may pondo ka na 25. Bakit? Ang ibinayad mo doon sa taxable year 2014 is 75. So ibig sabihin, grabe naman, may extra akong nabayad sa government. Edi pondo mo lang 'yon. Ilalagay mo yung 25 dito. 2015, ang normal mo is 60. May minimum ka 2% of your gross income, which is you will have to add your other income also. Meron kang magiging pondo na naman na 40. So ibig sabihin, 65 na yung pondo mo. Kasi ang sabi ng batas, if you will compare MCIT at saka RCIT, alin ang mas malaki, yun ang ibibigay mo sa government. But wait, you have the option, you are allowed to forward it for the next 3 years. So meron kang 25, hindi pa nag-expire. Kasi kaya mo pa siyang gamitin sa 15, 16 at 17. Pag 18 na, hindi mo na magagamit yung 25. Okay? So tingnan natin yung next dito. Yung 14 sa 16 magagamit mo. Yung 15 na excess na minimum corporate income tax, this is the 2% which is in excess of the regular corporate income tax subjected to 30% multiplied by your net taxable income. Meron kang 25 plus 40, pwede mong gamitin yun sabay-sabay na. Bakit? Malaki yung corporate income tax mo sa 2016, ang minimum mo 60, o di bayad ka ng mas malaki. Pero sasabihin mo sa government, lugi naman ako dyan. Nung mas malaki ang MCIT ko, MCIT ka pa rin ang binabayaran ko, hindi RCIT. Kasi kung tutusin, dapat RCIT lang talaga ang pag-uusapan. So ang sasabihin mo sa taxpayer, teka, sandali, ima-minus ko muna yung 25 and 40. So in 25 and 40 mo, which is 65, Sasabihin mo sa BIR, 35 lang ibabayad ko kasi may pondo ako sa iyo eh. Alright? So that's about it. Dito mabilis lang tayo kasi walang tayo ng time for question and answer. So it's like this. Meron tayong train law 1, tapos na train law 2 na naging trabaho bill, na naging sitira, naging create. Hindi ko alam kung ano yung i-create pa nila after this. I don't know. Kasi beginning July 2020 is abrupt daw yung tax rate reduction from 30 to 25. Kaya lang, tanong kami ng tanong sa BIR, wala namang makapagsabi, maraming telepono hindi gumagana. And kahit anong research ko, wala akong nakikita. And even up to this time that we are talking, 30% pa rin yung lumalabas na gagamitin. So most likely, hindi pa to talagang napapasa. No? So anyway, wag na natin basahin yung lahat ng yan. Ang kagandahan lang, dito sa create, from 3 years, magiging 5 years yung again, hindi pa to talaga na ipapasa ha, but these are the amendments na gagawin na hopefully maka-encourage sa mga investors locally and coming from abroad. Kasi especially yung mga pesa, nadi-discourage na yung mga pesa. Pero ang kagandahan, mamaya makikita nyo sa susunod na slide. Pero dito muna, meron kang 3 years na carry over sa NOLCO, magiging 5 years daw. However, for this, to have an impact, it should be coupled with a suspension of 2% minimum corporate income tax, if not an outright repeal. So anyway, so paano nga namang gagana yan on the 4th year after your start of commercial operation, magto 2% ka. So para gumana yan, so magkakaroon ng outright repeal or masususpend yung 2%. MCIT na pinag-usapan natin. Kasi sa Indonesia daw, yan no? Sa Indonesia, 25 naging 22. Alright? So further going down sa 2022 at 20. So tayo nakikipaghubulan tayo. Naghahanap tayo ng investor effectively. Alright. So ganito yung proposal. From 30 magiging 20 sa 2029. So basically, lumalabas parang 1% every year, no? Lumalabas diyan. And then also, ito maganda, ito yung nagustuhan ko dun eh. Kasi meron ako mga PESA entities ng mga clients. Pag titignan natin under create, the Fiscal Incentives Review Board, FIRB, the agency responsible for overseeing the country's investment promotion agencies, will be given the authority to recommend to the President. Diyan yan doon sa create. Okay? The appropriate fiscal and non-fiscal support incentives. This includes tax incentives, logistics support, training, the facilitation of obtaining certification from government agencies, customs, facilitations for investments, among others. And then in create na lang din, kasi ayoko nang ilagay pa sa ibang slide, in create, there is greater flexibility in granting incentives. Under the SITIRA, the FIRB had no such power. Yung kaninong nandito sa kaliwa natin. Okay, upon recommendation of the FIRB, the President can approve the incentives along with long periods of availment of up to 40 years. Can you imagine that? Kasi tayo, yung mga GIT natin, na mga para dyan sa mga pesa natin, is unlimited eh. Perpetual siya. Kaya lang, nung time nung train 2 and then trabaho bill, and then ang sitira, parang masyadong malaki daw yung yung nawawala sa Philippines just because perpetual yung mga incentives. Na pag-iisipin, it's more of the infrastructure rather than the incentives that motivate or attract the investors. But anyway, that is not really our topic, just made mention to that. Meron tayong extension sa create of the sunset period, which is yung yung mga investment promotion agencies, yung IPAs, registered companies that are paying the existing 5% GIT tax incentive will have their sunset period, so mawawala, extended by 2 years to adjust to a new incentive scheme. So every 2 years yan, no? Ayan, extended by 2 years to adjust. IPA registered firms can avail of the preferential final tax on the gross income in lieu of national taxes and local taxes. This is available after the income tax holiday. O yun nga lang, yung mga current rules kasi, immediately pwede kang mag-apply sa PESA na 5% GIT agad. Kaya lang with this, ang sabi dito, this is only available after the income tax holiday of 6 years initially provided by the IPA comes to an end. So this is the end of our presentation. So we still have time, like maybe 15 to 20 minutes. So I'm inviting everyone to actually ask questions. Hello? Libre lang po to ha, walang mga metro. Ano?
Hello sir, good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon po.
Apo, I'm Daniel Bautista po. Magtatanong na po regarding sa FS. Ang ano po kasi, business po ay online selling. Nag-start po ng 2018. Then itemized deduction, sole proprietorship pong company ko po. So hindi po kasi ako nagpa-file ng FS every year simula noon 2018 hanggang ngayon. So may penalty po ba ako sa BAR?
Aha. Pero registered ka na ng 2018.
Yes po.
Registered ka na. Kaya lang online, kung tutusin, parang hirap niyang matrace, di ba? Ang ituturo natin dito yung legal, no? Gusto ko lang i-emphasize, no? Kasi yun talaga yung tama, no? Na pag-usapan, especially doon sa mga tax savings na pag-uusapan natin for next week. What we do, what we recommend is always kung ano yung allowed by the law. Kasi meron mga windows on how to save on taxes. But going back to your question, ang mabilis na sagot kasi dun sa tanong mo is meron ka na talaga dapat na penalty doon. But the other question is, how can the BAR trace you? Di ba? Mahirap. Unless ikaw talaga yung mag-volunteer na mag-report. Isa-isayin lang natin. May COR ka ng 2018.
Yes
Online
po.
seller ka.
Yes po.
Tapos never ka nag-file ng tax return mo.
Nag-file po ako ng ITR without FS nga lang po. Wala pong FS.
Pero how much is your gross income?
Ano po sir, ano po, nasa 200 po kasi may trabaho din po ako aside sa online selling. Pero loss po siya, loss.
Oo. Actually, doon sa 200 mo pa lang, below na yan ng 250,000 na threshold doon sa ating graduated rates. So meaning, hindi ka rin masasubject sa income tax nun. Actually, subjected ka pero zero.
Opo.
Ang mangyayari. So walang wala ka ring magiging taxation doon. Kaya lang kung sabi mo employed ka pala, no? Employed ka. So meron ka ng 250 na nagamit dun sa employment mo. Meron ka ng 250 na nagamit dun sa employment mo. Kasi kung titignan mo dito yung ating presentation material, try lang, lang natin. Teka ha. Let me fix this. Dito kasi sa tax table, meron ng 250 dito. Okay, so yung yung salary mo kasi walang choice. Talagang graduated rates ang gagamitin doon sa salary. So yung salary mo, ginamitan na yun ng 250. Therefore, hindi mo na pwedeng gamitin uli yung yung 250 mo doon sa doon sa susunod mo na computation ng business. Nagamit na kasi yun dito eh. Pero sabi mo, loss ka.
Opo, bale ganito sir, yung sweldo ko kasi 180 lang po. So hindi naman naabot ng 250. Then yung sales ko nung simula noon hanggang ngayon, hindi naman po pag pinag-combine yon, 180 plus yung mga sales ko, hindi naman nag-exceed po ng 250. Pero loss pa rin po kasi hindi pa rin nabebenta gaano yung mga ibang
bigyan kita ng para mas madali kong mai-explain. Ganito yung magiging itsura ng ating computation dyan. Halimbawa mo, ito kasi hanap tayo ng may sweldo ha. Hanap tayo ng may sweldo dun sa example ko. O yan. Dito, nakikita nyo ba to itong presentation? Ayan o, ang compensation income mo, 1.5. May 13-month pay ka. So meron kang tax due mo is on the first 800,000 is 130. Kasi dito, pag tinignan mo dito yung first 800,000 mo, may 130 ka na. Right? O, tignan lang natin para maano tayo. Tapos 30% yung in excess. Kasi dito, sabi dito, 30% yung in excess from 80. Okay? From anong tawag doon? 800. Ang sabi dito, 1,410, 1,410, di ba? Minus mo yung 800. Na kung tutusin yung 800 mo, na-take up na niya yung 250 dito na naging zero siya. Ini-establish ko lang yon. Kasi compensation and business income yung case mo kasi. So pansinin mo dito, may 183. Tapos tax due on compensation mo is 313. Ganun ang nangyari dito. Tapos ikaw naman sa business mo, may gross sales ka dito na 2,4, ad operating income, etc. Ito kasi ay 8%. So ang nangyari dito, kung papansin mo, hindi na minanage yung 250. Sa iyo kasi, ang case mo,
Itemized po.
Oo, itemized. Dito tayo para makita na rin ng iba kung paano siya mas maiintindihan. Itemized, 8% pa rin to. Hanap tayo ng itemized, ha? Ay, pag itemized kasi, doon yan sa graduated rates. So, mukhang ito na yon. Ito, hindi ito nag 8% eh. Ayan. O, compensation, balik tayo sa compensation, 1,110,000. Tapos ang gross sales mo, cost of sales mo. So, itemized to, lumalabas. Taxable income mo, 3 million. Doon sa first 2 million mo, meron ka na agad na 490. Ito yung 490 mo. Okay. Tapos, yung on excess mo ay times 32%. So, 310. Gamitan ko lang ng calcu ha. Para mas minus 2 million times 0.32. So, meron tayong 355,200. So, i-add mo yon, meron kang 845. So, ang nangyari, pag titingnan mo, yung 2 million mo na nagneto ka, net income mo, doon sa iyong business, inad yung compensation mo. Tapos together, sinabject siya doon sa graduated rate. So ganun yung situation mo, di ba? Tama? Nung sinabject siya sa graduated rates, isang beses lang nagagamit yung 250 kasi pareho silang graduated rates. Kapag compensation kasi no choice, graduated rates, ikaw naman itemize. Pag itemize ka, hindi ka 8%. So kung hindi ka 8%, wala kang choice, graduated rates. So i-add yung dalawang yon, tapos i-multiply mo dito. I mean, kukumpute mo tax due base dito sa ganitong klaseng computation. Now, ang case mo kasi, meron kang 180 na sweldo. Actually, yung 180 mo, statutory minimum wage ka. Actually, wala na agad na taxation yun doon, di ba? Hindi ka na subjected doon. So, lalabas, wala ditong taxable income. Ang lalabas sa'yo is yung parang nandi dito. Ito ang magiging computation mo. Ayan exempt. Hindi ka magkakaroon ng taxable income. Kung babalikan natin ito, dito kasi, merong nakasulat dito na taxable income. Ayan taxable income to, di ba? Compensation. Ikaw wala. Hindi siya taxable income on your part. So walang i-add doon sa business mo. Okay? Kasi exempt siya. So hindi rin siya na subject doon sa sa graduated rates kasi nga exempt siya. So ngayon yung 200,000 mo Mas maganda i-report mo yung 200,000 mo kasi hindi rin naman siya masasubject. Tapos sabi mo pa, itemize. Tapos kung itemize mo, loss ka pa. Pagpalagay natin 300,000 yung gastos mo. O di 100,000 yung neto mo, di ba? So that is a loss. That is not subjected to income tax.
Pero required pa rin po ako mag-file ng FS every year.
Itemize ka kasi eh. Itemize yung ginamit mo. Kailangan mag-file ng ITR o pag tinignan natin dito yung para lang maklaro sa iyo. Ayan, itemize. Dito ka sa equal or less than, di ba? So magpa-file ka ng ITR pero walang FS. Siyempre wala ring audited FS. Dito ka. ITR lang ang ipa-file mo. Hindi mo kailangan mag-file ng financial statements, hindi mo kailangan mag-file ng audited financial statements. Kasi 200 lang yung mo eh. Yung gross sales mo eh.
Okay, so hindi pala po, kasi nalito lang po ako kasi nakalagay FS only. Kasi akala ko requirement po ang FS kasama ng ITR i-file.
Oh, taga ha. Ang ITR mo, ipa-file mo. Tapos audited FS. Financial statement lang ang i-attach mo doon sa ITR mo. Hindi ko alam kung nagkamali ako nung sinabi kanina, no? Pero kung nagkamali man ako, kinokorek ko. Ang sabi dito, financial statements will be attached to your tax return kapag ka equal or less than 3 million ka. Kasi itemize ang gamit mo. Ang ine-exempt lang naman ng BIR yung OSD at saka itong 12, yung 8%. So, again, magpa-file ka ng ITR, i-attach mo financial statement. Hindi siya audited.
Okay, so may penalty na po ako kasi hindi po ako nakapag-file ng FS simula 2018 eh.
Oo, may penalty ka. Siyempre, may hirapan ng BIR na i-trace ka doon. Pero as a good citizen, if you're willing naman na i-file yun, ipa-file mo. 1,000 ang penalty per violation.
Okay po. Sige po sir, maraming salamat po sir. Yun lang po yung tanong ko.
Alright, thanks Daniel.
Sige po.
Sige, meron pa po tayong tanong? Sino pa pong merong tanong? Mas maganda kasi kung merong tanong, sometimes kahit alam mo na yung sagot, minsan nakakatulong yun sa mga ibang participants eh. Hello? Alright. Sino pa po ang merong tanong? Ayun, merong nag-raise ng hand. O kanina pa ba yun? Parang may nag-raise ng hand eh. Kanina pa yon. Kanina pa siguro yon.
Hello.
Yes, ayun. Mas mabuti talaga nag-aantay. Okay. Sino sila?
Si Rose po.
Anong apelido?
Bukalan ho.
Sige. Yes, Rose.
Tanong ko lang yung tungkol sa kaninang example. Ang sabi niya, nagpa-file siya ng income tax pero wala lang siyang attachment. Tama po ba?
Actually, hindi daw siya nagpa-file eh. Hindi siya
po,
nagpa-file.
Ang alam ko po nagpa-file pero wala lang attachment do sa kaninang kwento
i-clear
niya.
nga natin kay Daniel. Paki-clear mo nga Daniel yung sinasabi mo kanina.
Sir, po may ITR po akong fina-file every year pero wala lang po FS.
Oo.
Nagpa-file siya.
Meron ka pa ring penalty nun. Kasi hindi ka nag-attach ng financial statements.
So yung penalty niya kasi 'di ba ang computation ng penalty is upon not filing of income tax. So iba naman kasi yung tungkol sa submission. Maihahabol po ba yung attachment na yon? Ganon din po ba ang computation niya? 1,000 na minimum although nag-file naman siya on time. On time naman yata siya nagpa-file.
tignan natin yung table of penalties ha, kasi teka,
Sige po.
i-stop share ko lang muna para hanapin ko lang yung table of penalties. Kasi hindi natin kabisado yung table of penalties eh. Hindi ko yata, teka ha, nahirapan ako hanapin yung table of penalties. Meron akong nakita dito. Ipakita ko lang to sandali. Try natin kung kung makikita natin dito. Ito yung table of penalties. Failure, refusal. So, financial statements, no? Tingnan natin financial statements. Ito, receipts, puro receipts, offenses, internal revenue, making, importing, selling without express authority from the commissioner, selling, offering, sale, package, giveaway, failure to charge with duty, fine, and Alpha, i-check mo rin sa sa side mo ha. Si Alpha kasi is one of my group supervisors. Pinapa-check ko sa kanya ngayon kung may makikita siyang specific dun sa failure to attach your financial statements. Violation, failure to surrender. Wala akong makitang statement. Hindi ko siya makita doon sa doon sa schedule of penalties kung saan siya mag-call. Kasi ang mga nakalagay dito, you refuse to issue official receipt, you refuse to issue sales invoice. So merong mga violation, merong mga penalties na nakalagay. Pero yung specific dun sa failure to attach financial statement, Alpha, may nakita ka ba? Wala. Wala rin.
Sir, wala.
Wala, no? Hindi siya nakasulat, no? Well, it depends now on the BIR kasi hindi natin siya mahanap dito sa sa schedule of penalties. Kasi dito, nandito yung mga books of accounts. Halimbawa mo, books of accounts. Ayan, kapag ka nag-fail ka to produce books of accounts, may mga penalties. Pero yung specific na you have filed an ITR but you failed to attach your financial statements, hindi siya nakasulat dito. So ang advice ko would be is pwede ka kasi magtanong dun sa BIR without disclosing your name. Tanungin mo yung situation mo and then sasagot sila. So pag sumagot sila, pag sinabi nila, I think naman, una, medyo remote yung situation na nahahabulin pa siya kasi nga nasa 200 level yung kanyang Kung talagang gusto mo lang na maging very faithful doon sa pag-submit ng FS mo, pwede naman 'yon. Pero hindi lang nakasulat dito kung magkano talaga yung penalty mo. Ang mabilis ko lang assumption diyan would be 1,000 o baka naman sakaling patawarin ka na rin. Kasi minsan ganun yun eh. Minsan lalo na hindi naman nakasulat eh. So pwede kang humingi ng dispensa and then pabayaan ka lang mag-amend ng ITR mo na meron ka ng attachment.
Mhm. Sir, pero hindi siya lalabas sa open case, I think, kasi nakakomply ka naman na nakapag-file ka, di ba?
Mahirap siyang lumabas sa open case.
Yes.
Sobrang galing naman nung nung
Yes.
tax mapping.
Uh-huh.
Kasi pag nakita nila yung ITR, sometimes wala na yun eh.
Yes, as long as kasi ang alam ko ang attachment, if I'm not mistaken, may 30 days allowance lang na ibinibigay to follow kung nalimutan mo mag-attach upon filing ng income tax. So,
15
the
days.
penal,
15 days yung
alam ko 30. Siguro nitong pandemic dinalaw niya 30 days. Ano po? Pero ang hindi ko nga
June 30. June 30.
Ang hindi ko lang kasi gusto ko lang din malaman, katulad kasi marami din in the same situation na nangyayari ganun. Kung meron siyang penalty nga.
Mahirap eh. Hindi ko kasi nakita dito. Pero parang ang pinakamababa kasi dito parang 1,000 eh. Lalo na yung gross niya is maliit lang.
1,000 for not filing, di ba? Pero
for not filing.
For not filing, nag-file naman po siya.
Oo. Wala kasi ditong failure to attach eh. Nakalagay na failure to attach.
Siguro immaterial. Siguro hayaan na lang para
Pwede rin. Hindi kasi,
sa susunod na lang, mag-file na lang, mag-attach na lang siya.
O kaya, hingi siya ng ng tax mapping, yung magparan siya ng tax mapping na, anong tawag doon? Yung open cases. Pag nagparan siya ng open cases, hindi nag-appear yun, walang naging record.
Walang naging violation. So wala na dapat.
I-open.
Yes.
Kasi parang binuksan mo pa yung opportunity na magka-problema ka. Libre lang naman yun eh. Magparan ka na lang si Daniel, no? Pwede
Yes.
siya magparan na lang ng open case para malaman niya lahat ng mga violations niya kung meron man. Pag hindi nag-reflect yun, so wag tumimik na lang tayo, wag na lang natin.
Yes, opo. Yung susunod niya na lang po, doon na lang po siya mag-file.
Parang peace of mind na rin po.
Yes, yun nga, kaya ko lang na-share para lang niya na kahit papaano. Kasi kanina na magbabayad siya ng 1,000. How many years yun? The 1,000 for 1 year, then may penalty, di medyo malaki.
Malaki
Oo.
Parang lalo na
Yun
sa
lang
mga
po.
online seller.
Na-share ko lang po.
Idadagdag ko lang din na dati ko na kasing naging concern yan na kapag ikaw ay nagparan ng open cases, baka ma-trigger yung investigation sa'yo. Well, hindi ko pwedeng isipin or sabihin na it will be exactly the same case doon sa'yo, but based on our experience, hindi sila nag-uusap sa loob. Yung sa sa tax mapping, hindi sila nagko-coordinate na ito, marami itong ngayon lang pumunta to. Tapos ganito problema, tapos ipapaalam doon sa kabila. So lumalabas, safe
maliit
din
lang
yun.
naman eh.
Pwede kang magparan ng open case mo and hindi yun magti-trigger base sa history na na-experience namin. Hindi yun magti-trigger ng sasabihin nating padadalahan ka ng letter.
Opo, hindi naman ho ganun yun.
Okay.
Okay, salamat po.
Okay, thank you rin, Rose. Meron pa pong gustong magtanong? Yan po ba tayo? 26. May question dito. Required po ba ang GPP magpasa? Required po ba ang General Professional Partnership magpasa ng Audited FS? Nagpapasa, oo. Sa annual, nagpapasa kami. Kami, GPP rin kami, nagpapasa kami. Kasi hingiin din yan sa'yo kapag i-audit ka ng BIR. Okay, ganito. Kasi kami, pagka nagpapa-accredit kami ng aming BIR accreditation, hinihingi sa amin yun eh. Yung audited financial statements ng GPP. Na-experience na namin yun for several years. Every 3 years kasi yung accreditation sa BIR. Yung huli namin experience, doon mismo sa San Pablo. And may panel yon, isang buong table, long table yon. Tapos, dadalayin mo lahat ng mga mo doon. Dadalayin mo lahat ng mga audited financial statements mo doon. Tapos, magra-random pick sila. And bukod doon, hihingi nila yung audited FS mo. Ayan, meron pa dito, pati po ba, wala namang, wala namang sinasabit na ganyan kasi sa corporation yan, di ba? Yung mga general information sheet. Wala kaming sinasubmit. Alpha, meron pa tayong sinasubmit na JS? Hello?
Wala po, sir.
Wala, di ba?
Wala.
Hindi naman kami nagsasubmit ng JS. Sa mga corporation siya, nagsasubmit sila. Alright. O, sige, baka may pahabol pa. Kahit siguro isa na lang. Tapos, habang nag-aantay tayo for the last question, merong halimbawa. Ano to? Teka. Teka. Sige. Sabi dito, I'm not sure kung nababasa ng lahat, no? Sir, halimbawa yung first quarter zero income. Ano kaya yung income? Gross sales kaya yun? Gross revenues o net? Zero income, ang napili niya ay itemize. Okay? Tapos yung second, nagkaroon ng income, tapos napili niya po ay OSD, second quarter. Kailangan po bang i-file ulit yung first quarter? Salamat po ng madami. Hindi ka pwedeng magbago ng, let's say kung itemize na yon, kahit zero pa yon, kaya lang hindi ka nag-tick ng OSD. So therefore, automatic itemize yon. And since itemize siya, even if it's zero, dun sa second quarter mo, hindi mo siya pwedeng i-change. Kasi ano yun final na yon. In fact, kung gusto mo mag-amend, hindi ka papayagang mag-amend. Kasi minsan may mga ganong case na tanong na, what if yung first quarter mo itemize, tapos gusto mo lang mag-OSD sa third quarter, pwede mo bang i-amend yung first and second quarter na maging OSD para payagan yung OSD mo sa third quarter? The answer is no, hindi siya pwede. Once you have filed in your first quarter ITR as itemize na yan all throughout the year, next year pwede mo siyang baguhin. Ay, si Mr. Felipe, meron siyang tanong, may we have a copy? Part of our introduction po, hindi po namin i-release yung copy. Ang pwede pong gawin kanina is to take pictures po ng mga presentation materials. Pasensya na po. Okay, so meron pa ba? May new messages. Teka. Yan. Paano po kung gusto ko magkaroon ng certificate? Oo nga yung certificate. Okay. Kasi nung kinonceptualize namin tong webinar na to, hindi kami mag-i-issue ng certificate. Kasi this is a non-CPD. Pero kung merong mga... Kasi ang mangyayari, meron akong... Una, may papel, tapos may tao akong papapasukin para trabahuhin yung certificate. So may konting gastos. Okay lang ba sa inyo maniningil kami para doon sa sweldo ng tao if you really want to have a certificate for this? Hindi ko naisip yun kasi hindi ko in-anticipate na may manghihingi ng certificate. Pero just in case, I will have to come up with an amount. I will just take note of your name, si Michelle, and we'll communicate with you. If you want, you can send us your email address. Hindi, meron kaming kung nag-register ka dun sa Eventbrite, meron kaming email address mo. So, I'll take note of your name. Then separately kami makikipag-communicate sa iyo for the certificate. But this is a non-CPD webinar. Michelle Galpo. Okay? So for next webinar natin, yung saving taxes, hindi ganun karami yung magiging natin doon. yung mga pag-uusapan na in terms na parang sasabihin natin na napakalaki ng matitipid nating tax. It's more of kung ano yung pwede, kung ano yung available, ano yung ina-allow ng law. And sometimes, ano yung mga mali, yung mga error, mga common mistakes na dahil dun sa common mistakes na yon, hindi mo naman dapat bayaran yung tax na yun, bayaran mo patuloy yung tax na yun kasi hindi mo kasi alam yung mga ibang bagay na kailangan mong gawin. So it's the reason why instead of you not paying a tax for that, kasi yung not paying a tax for that, it is avoidable naman, legal naman yon. Pero just because you have failed to do something, ganon. And sometimes merong mga kasama din yung mga maling pagpa-file. And dahil sa maling pagpa-file, at saka especially yung mga expenses na pwede pala namang i-claim yung mga ganong expenses. So we will be talking about that. But don't expect na sobrang dami kasi syempre the BIR will want to do a lot of things in order to of course increase the revenues. And yung mga tax incentives nga ng mga cooperatives even mga cooperatives nagkakaroon na sila ng mga LOAs ngayon eh. So yung mga ganon, pwede nating ang BIR is siyempre chine-check nila yung mga tax incentives, yung mga exemptions. Gumagawa sila ng paraan na kung pwedeng mabawasan yung mga ganon. Kaya hindi ganun karami yung pag-uusapan natin, baka mag-expect kayo ng marami, but I hope you will still learn something, or I hope a lot doon sa webinar natin for next week. Sige, nabasa ko, Michelle, yung yung message mo, ha? Sige, we'll take note of that. All right, I think
Hello
so
po.
yes, meron pa ba 'yan?
Meron po. Hello po.
Yes, si Daniel ba?
Hello po.
Baita. Okay.
Sir. So, itanong ko lang po, regarding po sa HOA, Homeowners Association, it's a non-profit organization, pero kailangan din ho ba ng audited FS kailangan din ho ba sa SEC?
Hindi, HLURB yun eh. Ano na yun? Inilipat na yun. HLURB ang nag-handle nun. Pero ano ba yung condo o mga homeowners, yung mga subdivision, di ba?
Subdivision lang po, sir.
HLURB ang nagmo-monitor nun.
So, kailangan din po mag-file ng income tax.
Yung mga HOA na ino-audit namin, nag-file sila. Yes.
Nagpa-file din. So, meron din audited din. Kung about 3 million ang
kung
income.
papasok doon. Yes, kung papasok.
Okay. Yung non-profit ho ba, pwede ba tax exempt ho ba? Pag sinabing non-profit organization, tax exempt din sila, di ba? Kasi
Yes.
non-profit naman sila. Yun ho ba is purely sa homeowner dues? What if may other income sila like nagbebenta sila? Yung mga ganon.
Ayun, kaya siya kailangan mag-file ng ITR kahit siya exempt kasi baka meron kayong mga other income na hindi naman exempt talaga by way of the nature of your business.
So, bali, ang itatax lang namin is yung other income. So, yung association dues na income is hindi siya taxable. Tama po ba?
Teka, sandali. Alpha, ano yung nangyari doon sa Parang merong recent na ruling about that eh. Definitely yung VAT hindi na sila.
Sir,
Hello?
yes po. Meron pong ruling na parang sabi po ni BIR, exempted yung HOA.
Basta merong certificate galing sa City Hall.
From City Hall.
Oo. Kasi hindi siya automatic na taxable siya kung taxable, but actually mahigpit nga nung time ni Kim Minares eh. Ang nangyari diyan, meron ka talaga dapat na anong tawag dito? Merong sworn statement kakausapin mo ang LGU, kakausapin mo yung barangay. Actually, pumunta na ako sa barangay dyan eh. We have actually, at the time of Commissioner Keminares, isa kami sa mga nauna siguro nag-file ng mga ganyan kasi gusto ko masubukan kung gaano katotoo. But what happened is sa barangay, ayaw nilang pumirma kasi hindi kaya nung dibdib nila yung nakasulat doon. Kasi ang nakasulat doon, if I recall it properly, correctly, they lack the capability to provide the following services, yung sa basura, yung sa ilaw, sa security, yung mga ganon, parang hindi kaya ng mga taga-barangay. So ang ginawa ng barangay captain is pinasa kami sa City Hall. Ayaw din pumirma ng City Hall. Ewan ko ngayon kasi nga may ganyang lumabas na ruling na pagka may pumirma na City Hall, o di okay, exempted ka.
Bali actually may certificate kami for non-tax,
Sorry,
non-profit
pakilakasan na
organization.
hindi ko masyado marinig.
Okay. Narinig na po.
Yes.
Hello po. Oo. Actually, may certificate na kami from the LGU na non-tax organization kami. Kaya lang, ang quote ng quote ni BIR is only the association dues and non-tax. So, ang ano ko lang, ang parang nalito lang ako, ina-non-tax ko si association dues, yung other income na minsan nagbebenta, nagkakaroon ng bazaar, or kaya yung mga ticket ng
Baka may pool kayo,
pagpasok,
baka meron kayong paligan ng basketball, di ba?
yung mga something
Meron
ganun
kasi
po,
yun. Taxable na yun kasi
taxable na po
that
yun.
is not really your registered activities for
Yung
you
mga,
for you to perform yung governance nyo, like yung pagpapailaw, yung security guard, yung pagsisecure, yung
yung
basura.
donation, taxable din po yun.
Tinatax
Okay.
nila yun kasi that is already an other income. Hindi na yan yung nakasulat doon sa inyong bylaws o doon sa articles ninyo and bylaws.
Kailangan i-amend pala yung bylaws. Hindi ko po kasi nabasa lang yung bylaws. So bali ang computation yan is non-taxable association dues and taxable yung other income. Right po?
Yung mga parenta nyo ng pool, meron kayong may ikakasal. Ewan ko kung may kinakasal ngayong COVID. Hindi ko alam, no?
Yes po.
So, pag nagparenta kayo
before.
doon, other income nyo na yun
Okay.
Exempted.
So, same 30% taxable computation kasi corporation na siya. Okay. Thank you po. That's all.
Hindi na yun part ng natin, ng topic natin, Tama ba? Sama ba yun? Anyway. Sige, tinanong nyo sige, that's all right kung may mga ganang tanong. No? Kaya lang syempre, mas maganda kung yung mismong mga tanong is related dun sa topic natin para kung meron man akong i-share sa inyo mga rulings or meron man ako i-share sa inyong mabilis or illustration, immediately may ipapresent ko sa PowerPoint na ito yung para mas madaling maintindihan. Kasi right now, whenever I answer your questions will be based on stock knowledge and experience. Okay? So nag-overtime na po tayo. Salamat sa bawat isa. Huwag kayong maiyang magtanong, no? Means, may nabanggit ko lang pero it's more of organization lang. And I hope attending kayo dun sa mga iba nating mga webinars. And then in those specific times or schedules, time din nyo maitanong yung mga concerns ninyo. You can actually send us ahead an email so that we can prepare an illustration also or presentation or backup by rulings kung sakaling meron kayong related na mga tanong. Especially if it's about dun sa topic natin for the next week. Anyway, marami pa naman yung mga webinars nating darating. So, I hope mas marami pa rin tayong mapag-usapan for those topics. Okay, that's it. I think so. Thank you very much, everyone, for attending. See you next time. Bye. Thank you, Ren. Bye.